Yo, what's up? So I'm going to do another poem today. This one is called Cross Purposes, which is going to be one of the first things we look at is the title. Hopefully that guides us. Doesn't always guide us, but sometimes it is. This is a poem. We can look at the structure. There's some pattern going on here where every other stanza is indented. Let's try to explore that. That might be helpful in understanding the poem. This is a poem that a lot of students, they're not really clear on, and yet they still try to go answer the questions with. So this is something to be concerned of. So let's start it up. We're going to look for poetic things. Remember, this is figurative. So usually a poem is figurative. It doesn't have to be. It might have rhyming. There might be metaphors. There might be similes. So these are the kind of things we're going to look for here. So let's jump into it. And as we come up to literary devices and so on, we'll explore them. So it starts out, what I am is built. That's italicized. And is a colon. So it's basically describing what the builtness is, if you will. So what I am is concrete, what I am is steel. All right. So we know there is some sort of, I don't know if it's a building, what? I defy gravity, could still be a building. I am what every athlete wants. Again, colon, so the author's using punctuation a lot here. So it's defining what every athlete wants to remain at the apex of the leap. So if an athlete is leaping, the apex is going to be the top of it somehow, even if they're going straight up or down or whatever. So be the top of their game, if you will, okay? So to remain at the apex of the leap, up in the air. So whatever this is, could it be the top of a skyscraper or something like that? I don't know. And yet I am useful too, colon. They're going to tell us how they're useful. Cars, trucks, people, even trains make their way across my broad back. So no longer this is a building. It sounds like it's a highway. A train track? No, not a train track because it mentions trucks. A highway? Well, a train doesn't go on a highway particularly. So what could it be? All right. Swallows and ospreys, and it defines that for an osprey down here, is a large bird. This is not terribly helpful. So just birds. Whoops. Nest in my trust. And by the way, this is from the 2024 Form B DOE SHSAT handbook. All right. So swallows and ospreys nest in my trusses. So that's a word a lot of students don't know. And then if we stop here, what is this thing? It says what I am is blah, blah, blah. But what is the darn thing? All right. A lot of students can't really get that resolved. And trucks, cars, people, even trains go on it. And it has a back, so to speak, literally or metaphorically. And then things nest in its trusses. So a truss is a beam. It's normally giving a triangular shape, trying to hold something up, as in, holding two other beams together, and it might go zigzag or whatever. And it's talking about a back. So how about this thing, whatever it is, might be a bridge. All right, we don't know. So that's our guess so far. It's a bridge. It's the only thing that seems to make sense. Okay. Now the next thing starts at what I am is motion. So wait a second. So is that structure helping us? Is this now the same entity speaking, or is it a different entity? It seems to be a different entity. I am water. So this guy, there's less clarity that we need to figure out. We're being told straight up, I am water. I am older than anything else you know. And if we think about water on Earth, I suppose it's been there for quite a long time. No human built me, so I'm nature. Okay, so that may or may not be important to know. And just let me make sure I'm recording properly. Yeah, I sent to be okay. So, no human built me. I am gravity's best friend. I pull and flow wherever gravity takes me. I am the blood flowing in the runner's chest. So this is interesting in terms of compare and contrast. This is talking about a runner's chest, and this is talking about every athlete. Okay, and I catch everything. Again, colon, from the hills, the mountains. It all washes down through me. So it seems to me that there is a discussion happening between the bridge and the water. And they're trying to compare and contrast which one is better than the other. They're kind of having a silly tit for tat kind of argument. Maybe a debate. I don't know. We're going to have to see. And this parallels, so the author is repeating the use of colon a lot. The author is repeating the athletic thing. So and usually when you're debating something, an opponent is going to use what you said either against you or to one-up you, right? So the bridge talks about athletes wanting to be at the top of their game, and then the water's like, well, I am the blood of an athlete, right? A part of blood is water, so there's that kind of a thing. And then I get all water from all over the place. I am water. I've existed forever. That kind of a thing. This omnipresent kind of thing. Okay. So then the bridge. So if this is the bridge, this is the water. The bridge is going to respond here. The bridge tells the water what you are as an accident, and the author is using italicized to do some of it. What happens to rain when rain gives into Earth's gravitational pull? So the bridge is dissing the water, right? So in a way, if this was a debate, as if stanza 1 and stanza 2, if you will, or not even a debate like a court case, this could be the introductory statements of the two lawyers, or your initial words where you want to set up yourself, or if you're in a presidential debate, you're going to give an overview of yourself in a positive light initially. So that seems to be what's happening. And now the bridge is going to diss the water. You're an accident, bro. That kind of a thing. You just coagulate because water is water and it pulls together, right? Some tea is dribbling, right? So the author is using vivid language here to kind of do that diss. And the diss continues, right? From a mountain's eye, running down the pavements of small towns into the cities to the sea. Now, almost to the extent that, okay, fine, you collect all this water, but eventually you're just kind of thrown into the garbage of the sea, if you will. You're big deal. You become the ocean, right? That kind of a thing. You are the path of least resistance. So we all know from a physics and scientific perspective that water is going to seek the least resistance area, just like electricity. So this is a big diss from the bridge. All right, bridge to water. The bridge is insulting the water. Okay, so that's a diss. So the water is now going to respond. What I am is power. You, of course, have none. So now the bridge is getting its turn to speak its mind and maybe diss the bridge back. You're just a static lump, right? You're just a heap of metal is really what it's trying to say there. An artifact, slowly decaying. Ooh, right? That's nasty. So the bridge is, they told us up here, it was made of concrete and steel. So it's going to rust, and the concrete's probably going to crumble up at some point, right? So that seems to be what's going on here. But my regal flow, a majestic kind of thing there, nourishes grasses, right? Whereas the bridge is telling, oh, you just kind of, gravity just pulls you along. The water's like, oh no, bro, I nourish grass. I permit empires to rise. So water is an important thing for people, right? To nourish them. Those who made you will break you. So people may have built the bridge, but they can also knock the bridge down. In time, replacing you with yet another clumsy structure. I have seen, I know. Remember, the water has existed into negative infinity, so to speak. So it's been there through all of civilization progress and so on, all right? And then finally the bridge gets to react again. Clumsy, what the heck are you talking about, right? I get to be rebuilt, which makes me a friend of time. So even if something happens to the bridge, it gets rebuilt. And then it's almost like it's not clear, but the bridge is now asking the water, isn't that true? Right? So the bridge might be breaking down their argument, breaking down in their argument, right? And it means that I have siblings, those clumsy structures, my sisters and brothers. So talking about other bridges, right? Not only is there just one bridge, but this bridge is all over the place. So that's its brothers and stitches. We stitch across the rip you make. So I think this is dealing with like erosion and things like that, where water might wear down rock and make gaps that people can't cross or whatever. So the bridge is going to bridge the gap, literally, right? That's where phrases like that comes from. So we stitch. So that's a nice word that the author uses there. We stitch across the rips you make. We are the steel thread. So again, on that stitch metaphor, to the human needle. Wow. So there's a lot of metaphoric stuff going on here. We bind you up. We sew you. All right. So so this is, again, for the benefit of humanity, if you will, in a way. We build bridges to get places. And the bridge is saying that the bridge is necessary because, and furthermore, that the water has eroded down those places to make those gaps and rips. So basically, the earth is ripped, if I take that the correct way. Okay, and then it keeps going. So this is the water's turn again, and this is the final stanza. And the water says, not only is the water ripping in and doing erosion, but the water's like, hey, bridge, listen up. I sew into you, right? In every cranny of your superstructure, my vapors cling. Ooh, in other words, it's going to rust the bridge, right? That kind of a thing. They bring out your softness. So you might be strong and powerful, but at some point I'm going to weaken you. You're rust. I'm going to rust you, right? And the water tells the bridge, do your best this, do your best whatever, and boast as much as you want. I am listening to the bright hum of the wind in your wires, because I am, above all else, patient. I will wait for you. So the water is getting the last word. Okay. And it seems to be, if we were going to ask, do they end this debate in a tie? Right? That's a good question to contemplate. So it might be good to pause the video at this point and try to contemplate that. And by the way, these videos you should be pausing or reading them before you jump into what I'm saying, just so you kind of have a heads up and you try to analyze it, interpret yourself. So the bridge gets the last word, and the bridge is like, bro, I'm going to rust you. So in a way, the bridge wins the debate. Not only by getting the last word, but it seems like the bridge, because, sorry, I said bridge, I meant water. The water wins the debate. Because the water, not only has it been living forever, it's going to last to perpetuity as well, right? And it's going to wait. I'm patient. So at some point, I'm gonna rush you up, and you're going to fall down, right? So the water gets the last word in, and it seems to be like, bro, you're done for. All I have to do is sit here and wait for it, right? That kind of a thing. All right, so that is the passage. Again, as I spoken to you guys, you should capture the main idea as a phrase right here. So it means that you understood the passage. A lot of students did not understand the passage. They knew that there was water involved. They didn't quite know what the other opponent was, if you will. And the few who understood it was some sort of structure, they didn't really know what to do with it. Some thought it may have been a bridge, but they weren't sure. All right? So, and they were not clear, why is the bridge and the water having this conversation, debate, argument, whatever the case may be. And if we go back to the title, Cross Purposes, so we have two things. Let's just say they're debating, to be civilized here. We have the water and the bridge debating about who's better. And what's interesting is they don't recognize that maybe if they teamed up together as a team, they might be well. So basically what we get is The boasting of the two of them, or the qualification of the two of them, is that the water and the bridge are both powerful. The water and the bridge are both impressive. The water and bridge are both admirable, right? So there's things like that going on. There is a truism here, though, which is that the water is nature and the bridge is man-made. So there's a compare and a contrast there as well. And I don't know if this is where the author's going, but nature won the fight here, if you will, if it was a fight. Certainly it won the debate, right? And that, if it's not clear, the water wins here, because the water's patient and all it has to do is be water, right? The bridge has to be made. And again, even if the case with the siblings and brothers and also the bridge mentions, it can be rebuilt. The water's like, that's a weakness, right? At the same time, we know, highways and stuff, bridges do get remade and all these kind of things like that. So, and so we have this kind of negotiation going back and forth to be polite here. And it seems to me that the water wins. All right, so I'm going to end this here and do the questions in 1 second. All right, so let's jump into the questions. Let me get them on the screen. Let's see, there they are. All right, so one of the problems with literature and poetry is we don't know what questions they're going to ask us. Even if we peek at it, it can get hard. I'm often asked about strategies about that. There are students who are able to read the questions and figure out, and it works to their benefit. But there's a lot of students where that overloads your short-term memory. So I'm not suggesting it one way or the other. What I am suggesting is whichever way you choose, you practice and make sure you can do it. Don't invent test-taking strategies only for test day. You need to practice them and be astute on this. Okay? And again, this is the 2024 Form B, cross purposes. Now, there's a lot of literary devices that can be used in poetry, and we don't really know which one that the author is going to use, so we can't get too gung-ho with it all. Let me get this lined up. All right, so we got 36 showing. How does the similar construction of line 1 and 8 contribute to the meaning of the poem? So if we go to that, and let's change the color of the pen for here. Let's go blue, because that's so. 1 is what I am is built, and it defines the builtness of it. And then 8 is this guy, what am I, as in motion. So these are the main introductory statements, if you will, from the bridge and the water respectively, all right? So, and then they qualify themselves, all right? So that's kind of what's going on there. So how do they develop to contribute to the meaning of the poem? All right, so this is a structure question. How does the actual construction of this dialogue going back and forth between the two things contribute to the meaning of it? All right, so first of all, we need to be clear that kind of yin-yang is happening. All right, so it introduces, so I like that, it's introductory, the intended permanence of the structure and the ever-changing fluidity of the water, right? So the water is qualifying itself as being fluid. I like that they use the word intended, so we know the bridge might eventually fall down. So the intended permanence of the structure, and the later we get to realize it can rust, but the introductory statement at the point where we're at the beginning, the bridge is saying, I am strong, I am steel, I am concrete, I am an athlete, kind of a thing, right? And the water is talking about it flowing more, gravity and running through a runner's chest and stuff like that. So those are our metaphors that we're trying to capture there. So I think E does that very well. Okay, F, it shows that the structure can bridge the gap caused by the water. So that eventually gets discussed. But two problems. One is that's not all that's being said, and it's not all that's happening in line 1 and 8 in specific. So F goes out the window. It suggests that the inflexible structure has more limitations than the adaptable water does. So eventually the water wins the argument, but it's talking about inflexible structures. So there's arguments here that could talk about the bridge being inflexible, but I think the bridge, especially in the beginning, is boasting of how strong and it is. So even though it's inflexible, that is not what's happening here in that thing. It's not about limitations at this point. The bridge is getting its first shot at saying its case, if you will, and pushing itself, its agenda. So it's not G. It contrasts the stability of the structure, right? And that's weird. They're using words like inflexible and stability. So that's an issue with G as well, where yeah, the bridge is not permanent. Yes, it was man-made. Yes, it only works in a certain purpose, like you can't move it over. At least most bridges you can't particularly move. So from that perspective, it's inflexible. But it's flexible in the sense that it bridges a gap, and it goes over water and it goes over land and, yada, yada, right? So even on the slanted figure passage from the Hunter exam, we're talking about it mentioned a passing between two office buildings. So that is flexible because it's doing stuff. But anyway, contrast the stability of the structure with the instability of the water. No, they're both being given a shot to kind of boast about how powerful they are. So H just doesn't seem to be there. There's a minor argument to be made for that on both of these, but it's pretty darn weak. So what we're left with is E, and E kind of works. It's introductory, and the bridge is saying it's strong, and the water is saying I'm fluid. So there you go, okay? So it kind of works. 37, can we get all this on the screen at once? Give me 1 second, see if that is lined up there. No, we can't. So let's see. I am what every athlete. So it's comparing the two of those. Let me kind of bracketize those. So we have 2 through 4, right? These guys there, versus 12 through 14. Wait, do I have that right? No, that's 10. 10, 11, 12 through 14. These two guys are being compared. Okay? So I'll kind of scroll that up and get the most I can on the bottom of the question. All right, which basically means we're removing the boldface, but it's based on those two lines. So how do these lines contribute to the development of the central ideas? So again, after you read a passage, you need to capture the main idea. So if you capture the main idea, and I mentioned it earlier, it was about both of them being powerful, comparing, contrasting their features, and then eventually the water wins because it's basically nature. And nature prevails, if you will, right? So, but it's trying to do that compare and contrast between the two of them. So let's see which matches that. So the answer doesn't always particularly match that kind of thing perfectly. All right, so they established that both the structure and the water have endurance and control. All right, so that is kind of truish, right? If we can we get that onto there? No, we can't really, but it's above. Okay. B says they highlight that the structure and the water are both powerful and impressive. So we have endurance. The water is endurance, and even though it talks about it being partially permanent, it's not that. And the water, the bridge can control the traffic, if you will, but they're both powerful and they're both impressive. So I think that was the thing here, that even though the water wins, both the bridge and the thing are impressive and they're admirable and things like that. So B seems to be the answer, and let's rule out C and D. This suggests the structure and the water are unaware of how similar they are. So I think that's an issue with the poem. The author never resolves that. So therefore, it's not quite the central idea. I did mention that the title cross purposes has an implication that they should cooperate with each other, but the author never goes there. There's this contest, and basically the water wins. So this is not where the passage is going. And then D, they reveal that the structure and the water are surprised that they are interrelated. No, again, it never comes up. They're never realizing that the bridge and the water, if they just would cooperate, it would make sense. All right, so it's not D. And then A is the queasy one. But if we think through about what is happening, what the endurance and control versus the power and oppressiveness, right? B is certainly true for both of them. We can make arguments for both endurance and control on both the water and the bridge as well. But B is the stronger answer. They're definitely, the bridge is powerful, the water is powerful. The bridge is impressive, the water is impressive. And then we could make arguments pro and con for both the endurance and the control for both the bridge and the water. So I suppose if B was not there, A would be the answer, but A is definitely the superior answer as is written there. Wait, did I just say that backwards? Sorry, B is definitely the answer for 37. 38. The use of the word siblings and my brothers and sisters conveys what? All right, so we always want to go look. We don't just want to rely on memory. So that is this part here, up until here. We talked about that, meaning there's going to be multiple bridges. So that's the brothers and sisters, if you will. Almost like there's an army of bridges, if you will, okay? So the use of those words conveys the idea of what? Forms water can take are less diverse than the type of structures that exist. No, it's not about diversity. It's about multiplicity, and how powerful the bridges can be as a collective, right? That kind of a thing. So 39 would not be E. The number of human-made structures is increasing. So there's nothing in what's going on there, and it means that I have siblings, yada, yada, we stitch together. So it's not talking about there being less or more. It's just talking about them existing, period. So F goes out because of the word increasing. Often we can resolve a tiebreaker by one word in the passage, one word in the question, or one word in the choice, or sometimes more than that. So G, the siblings and whatever convey what? Water passes under many similar-looking structures as it flows. All right, so that is the siblings and so on, but it's talking about the water flowing in particular, and that is not the statement that the bridge is saying there. The bridge is basically saying there's more than one of me, all right? And that is literally what H says. So there we go. That one shouldn't be too bad a question. Okay, 39. The comparison to sewing from 33 to 35. So we're going to talk about here now. And we talked about that as we read the passage. So the bridge is the needle to the human thread. It's not just filling the gap. It's helping people. All right. So I don't know if the question is going to go there, but let's see what happens. So it enhances the beauty of the natural landscape. So some people can argue that bridges are pretty. I don't think that's where the author's going here at all. It's not about that. It is about nature versus non-nature, but and it is about the bridge being powerful. So it's funny that the bridge didn't mention that as one of its traits, but it didn't. So, and it's not even something we can infer. And if you think bridges are pretty or whatever and they enhance the natural beauty, that is your opinion, and that's not what they're asking here. This question is not about your point of view, right? It's about what the poem is saying is happening. So 39 is definitely not A. It brings people together more effectively than nature does. So first of all, it definitely brings people together effectively as well. The question is more effectively than nature, right? Is that what's happening? We stitch across the rip you make. So we bridge the gaps, and we help people we bind you up where you're broken, so to speak. We sew you together, right? So that is interesting. That seems to be a viable thing here. Provides clear boundaries for the natural environment. So if we have a bridge, a gap, with the water, a bridge, the water, a bridge, the water. So it is, if you will, if we put an endpoint at the each thing, there is definitely boundaries here, but no, this is not, the word boundary is not the appropriate thing here. And it's not about the natural environments versus the non-natural environments. That's not the argument. It never comes up again. So 39 would not be C. Okay. And then D, it serves as a means for people to overcome an obstacle created by nature. Again, there's these gaps here that the water created, and somebody needs to do that. And the bridge is saying, I'm the needle that does that. For a human, I'm the human needle, right? So that seems to be the answer. And we had left the B in. It brings people together more effectively than nature does. So B is certainly completely true. And it's another way of saying D. However, D is more precise. All right. B is a little too vague. And if you will, I said this on some other passages, including some of the other poems. If we want to, we can provide that B is a subset of D. All right. So because it serves as a means for people to overcome the obstacle, the gaps, right? We can't jump over them. We can't drive a car over a valley, right? So it brings people together more effectively than nature does. So again, it's not just about bringing people together. It's not just about the togetherness. It's about moving on to, like you're driving on a highway. You're not particularly joining people together. Yeah, the highway helps for commerce and visiting and doing vacations and going to see your mom and all this other stuff, but that is not quite what the author is saying there. So B has some truth to it, absolutely, but D is the superior answer. All right? Okay, 40. The last stanza, 36 through 42, so that's the one on the screen, conveys a central idea of the poem. So again, we're talking about the water and the bridge being oppressive, but the last stanza is the water speaking. All right, so the water, if we remember, the fact that the water wins and gets the last word is something that is important to the story. All right, so demonstrates that both the structure and the water depend on each other to fulfill their functions. No, again, the author never goes anywhere like choice E. That is a perspective and a spin and a point of view that the author could have explored but did not. So it has nothing to do with the passage. F implies that a stronger structure will be able to resist the degradation caused by the water. So if the water is going to rust it, that's true. That if the thing was made of better steel or was painted better or covered in plastic or was even just stronger, right, thicker metal or something, that would be true. But the fact that that can be true, that F can be true, is not the main idea of the passage, right? The main idea of the passage is not if we strengthen the bridge, it'll be more powerful and can compete with the water. Again, that is not an issue that the author talks about or explores. So it's not F either. G reveals that the passage of time will render the structure and the water obsolete. So it definitely is talking about waiting and being patient for the bridge to go away and basically fall down. The question is, where is that same kind of similar notion talking about with the water? The water says, I've always lived, and it never says it explicitly, but it's basically saying it because it's saying, I'm patient, I will wait for you at that last line. It's basically saying, I'm going to live forever. So the water is not going to be obsolete. All right, so it's not G. That leads to the process of elimination, H. So we need to prove it. We don't just want to be left with process of elimination and then go to the next question. So the central idea of the last paragraph is being communicated by what? Suggesting that the water will eventually weaken the structure and the water will continue to exist after the structure is gone. Yeah, the water wins the fight. So that one is pretty clear. It may not be clear when you're doing E, F, and G, but once you hit H, you're like, bro, that's definitely the answer, okay? And then they want you to look at the last two lines. Because I am, above all else, patient, I will wait for you. So this is basically where the water is one of the arguments. So which supports that the bridge can, is, will, shall do those kind of things. So implied. So we're going to do an inference here. Okay. I am older than anything else. I kind of just said this. So because the water has always existed, is currently existent, and will continue to exist, that supports that the water can be patient and that the water will eventually win the debate. All right. So that seems to be great. No human built me. So there's part of that where nature continues to exist. It does give some support. So we can kind of leave B, and it's a little shaky. So let's tilde that. It all washes down through me. So that is just the water talking about stuff. That's not about the water winning and degrading the bridge, right? This is the water's last diss against the bridge. Like, no matter what happens, you're gonna lose this, bro, right? So that's kind of what's happening. So that it all washes down through me is neither here nor there, no matter who says this statement. And those who made you will break you. So this is where the water is telling the bridge that man built you and man will eventually destroy you if I don't. All right. But this up here is saying the water is going to break the bridge. WBB, right? So D is not saying the water is going to break the bridge. D is saying man is going to break the bridge. So it's not that. So we're left again with A and B. And then obviously A is the choice, is giving that support, right? I'm going to wait you out. No matter what you do, I'm there. You go to sleep, I'm there. You're awake, you're there. You have people crossing your bridge, I'm still there. It's the middle of the night, nobody's using you, I'm still there. And then it tells them at the beginning of that paragraph, right? I will sow into you. I will seep into you every nook and cranny. And I will just keep clinging on to you till you're gone, right? I will soften you. You might be powerful now, but I'm going to rust the daylights out of you, that kind of a thing. So boast your best, but eventually I'm going to wear you down slowly and surely, right? So A gives that support. I am older than anything else. So that's a tough inference, right? It's definitely a tough inference because it doesn't literally say that the water is going to win the fight. But if we look at the permanency of the water, right, that's the way it has to go, right? We have, I think, 2 more questions. So how does the poet develop the point of view of the structure and the water? So this, we can almost hold this one up. So it has to be through that use of dialogue and the debate going back and forth. So hopefully we see an answer that matches that. By giving an account of discussion between them about the future of human civilization. So what the heck? It never really went there. So never really went there. It didn't go there. So it's not E. By narrating a debate, it did do that. They have over the impact on the environment. So again, I think this is getting to whatever, even though it was dealing with nature. That is not what's going on here about the point of view. This is not about climate control or something like that. So it's not going to be F either. It develops the point of view of the structure and the water both by illustrating the unique power that each possesses over nature. Wait, hold up. Water possesses power over water, right? So that's a little circular and redundant. So through process of elimination, we're left with H. So let's prove it. It uses personification to allow them to debate who is more important. Yes. So it's a dialogue between the two of them. And because they can't normally speak to each other, the literary device that's being used here is personification. Okay? And then 43, how does the form of the poem, so this again is about this dialogue happening. So theoretically, this should also be obvious. The use of an equal number of lines in each stanza emphasizes that both speakers are equally. So we know that's not the way the passage works. That I don't know if we count these, if they're literally true. I don't think it is. Let's see. The first we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one, 4, 7, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, they all seem to be 7. So, but is that contributing to the meaning? It's just that the 7, is that helpful to the central idea and the theme and stuff like that? No, obviously not. So A is out, B is out. C, the alternating positions. They're debating. highlights the opposing view. Yes, we're getting that communication. So the answer is C. So let's prove that D is no good. The lack of a rhythm. So there's no real rhythm to this scheme or a meter. So there's no rhyming. We can't say this is like a rap song or something. Reflects the way the water changes the structure and the way the water itself changes. No, we weren't really getting into water itself changing per se. It does talk about it being a teardrop and coming from a mountain and gravity doing stuff, and eventually it goes to the sea. So we could argue that's different forms of the water or different the ways the water is presenting itself. So that's certainly true. But the lack of the rhythm and all that, that is not what this is about. It's about the authors presenting this debate, and they're telling strong points about each other and then points of weaknesses that they view the opponent has. And again, they never realize that they can work together to do this kind of a thing. All righty, so there we go. We have this passage done. Okay, if you guys need help, you can always contact me at the bottom. Please like and subscribe to these videos. I'm always popping these out. I don't have a set schedule. It can be months between them, and sometimes I can do multiple a day. So it just depends. I have the channel for a while. I have hundreds of SHSAT videos across a variety of things. I decided that poetry was kind of a glaring missing hole from the community at large. And even from some of my stuff. I do have other poems that I did in the past, but they were kind of all over the place. So I'm trying to just get a bunch together from that. In fact, if you go to my website, if you go to GregsTutoringNYC.com/SHSAT-poetry, you'll get a link to some of these. And I also have the Hunter, so I have GregsTutoringNYC.com/Hunter-poetry, or and they both refer to each other, so it doesn't matter which one you really use. All right, y'all. Peace. Hit me up if you need any help or questions. Bye.